outside of Chicago. Well, I get pretty far outside of Chicago and still being able to say you're from the Chicagoland area in Crystal Lake, Illinois. Grew up, football was a part of our life. My dad was a college quarterback at UW Platteville, and he had me in the backyard working on footwork and working on drops in hopes that one of his boys would be a quarterback. Unfortunately for him, I was 6'2", 265 as a freshman and a lefty. So I didn't have a very long quarterback experience there, and had the opportunity to play offensive line at Prairie Ridge High School, which is now a bit of a powerhouse in the state. In my first year there, we were only in the third year of its existence. And, I was really fortunate to have the opportunity to play for some great coaches. That's something I think I've been really fortunate in my career. I don't know if I ever played for a bad coach, and I can't imagine a relationship with one that was poor. But I played for two coaches at the varsity level, and Dave Whitson, who was instrumental in my recruiting and really just helped me out through the high school process. And then had a coaching change my senior year, go to Chris Schremp, and at the ripe age of 27, who I've had a chance to establish a relationship since high school. And he was handed this Division I recruit who thought he was probably the greatest thing since sliced bread at the offensive tackle position, which I quickly realized I wasn't. And so I was a Power 5 recruit for a little while because Tom Lemming saw one of my games and he rated me in the top 33 in the country. And I got way too fat and all my offers were gone. And there was a period of time at the end of my senior year where, Urban Meyer had just left the Bowling Green staff and my offer to Bowling Green went away and Northern had pulled theirs. And I was sitting there at one point thinking I was going to go to Wisconsin, and I had no offers in December of my senior year. And my former head coach, who was super overweight, woke up at 5 a.m. every single morning and worked out with me at the local fitness center and, helped me go from 320 pounds to 284 from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And when Greg Brandon took over the Bowling Green job, they came out to see me, and the direct words to Troy Rothenbuehler, who's at Youngstown now, was, if Nystrom's fat, bring him in on an official or cut him loose. And if he's lost weight, bring him in. So luckily for me, my coach got me up and worked me out, and I had lost weight, and I went to Bowling Green on an official visit, and they offered, and the rest is history. It wasn't my first choice, but it ended up being the only choice for me, both in full scholarship offers, but in hindsight, I don't envision my life I don't envision my life without it. It was the greatest decision that I made, was going there. And I had, a little bit of a John Carroll experience when I was there in terms of the offensive line room being highly competitive, both on and off the field, academically, athletically, and socially. But I had some great coaches there as well. So I played Bowling Green underneath one head coach and Greg Brandon, which is not normal in the MAC to be successful and only have one head coach. And also only had one strength coach who really taught me the value of hard work and discipline, and Aaron Hillman. And then I only had two offensive line coaches, in Greg Stadrawa, who I had for 4 years, who just got let go at Ohio State. And then I had Matt Campbell as a GA my first 2 years, and then he was my position coach my senior year. So I've been hearing about Mount for way too long. And I certainly look forward to using some of the things that he taught me as a coach against his alma mater here this fall. But from there, the coaching is something I always wanted to do. My grandpa was a coach. He started the wrestling program at Crystal Lake Central High School and was a football coach. And I got an opportunity to go to Wabash College right out of college, and coached the tight ends there and was hooked. At that point, was absolutely hooked, and got a chance to, head to University of Delaware for a season, then the University of Memphis for a season, and then the University of Dubuque hired me in 2011 as the offensive line coach, and that was my second time at the Division III level. At that point, I still thought I was going to be the next Matt Campbell and wanted to be the next Matt Campbell and get to the highest level as fast as possible. And so I took a GA position at the University of Illinois and got engaged when I was there, and headed back to Dubuque. And that's where I really started to fall in love and really embrace the Division III lifestyle and the fact that it's really the only level, in my opinion, that you still have balance between academics, athletics, socially, and it really is when I started to shift my focus in towards really wanting to be a Division III head football coach and really aspired to do that. So I've had the opportunity to coach at a lot of different levels, and but the one thing that remains constant across the way is I've really had a chance to coach with some great people who I think have showed me how to do it properly, and really helped mold me as both a player and a coach.
Thanks, Coach. And I got to say, this isn't scripted, but with the healthy habits and whatnot, you do look like you could be a QB today. So stay with it.
Well, yeah,
I would never guess tackle.
Oh, I got up to 320 pounds in my senior year in high school and my junior year in college, and I tell you what, I lost a ton. I did get down to 227. It's the lightest I was.
Wow.
And since I've been married, it keeps finding me. I lost it and it's finding me again. And I'm doing everything in my power to lose it. And some of the younger coaches, they started an ideal body weight challenge for this summer. It's like getting us to an ideal body weight for fall camp. And they were doing, I was like, let's have everybody do it. Because like you preach to the players that you need to be at an ideal body weight, and you can't argue that as a coach, you should be no different. Like you need to be at an ideal body weight so that you have the proper energy, so you can be as good of a coach as possible. So those young guys, now my joints aren't the same as they were when I lost all that weight in 2011. But hopefully we can get whipped into shape and I can get back down in the 250s, because the 7 has found its way into the middle of those numbers, and I don't like it.
Sounds good. I might want in on that challenge then. So my next question for you is, you kind of left off with how you found Division III football and how you embraced it. So what led you to John Carroll, and what excites you about this opportunity?
Well, I don't know if we have enough time to fully talk about what excites me about the opportunity. So what brought me to John Carroll was really relationships. And it was, so in 2019, when I joined the staff, the offensive coordinator was Jeff Fink and the defensive coordinator was Joe Schaefer. And they were both college teammates of mine at Bowling Green. So Fink he was my backup for a couple of years, and we roomed together on the road when we traveled and at our home games. And, so I got to know him really well. I was actually the first person he told that he was dating his now wife, who was the starting left tackle's sister. So that was dicey by him, but he gave me a call at the end of the 2019 season, or at the end of the 2018 season, and talked about one of the coaches had just left and he was getting elevated to the offensive coordinator and wanted to move back to quarterbacks and have an offensive line guy that he trusted. And for me, what I knew about the program was that just come off the semifinal run, about the tradition of the school of the football team. So to me, like, I've been hearing about the OAC for a long time, and I wanted to get to the highest level of Division III, and that aspect really excited me. But it was also being around him and being around Coach Schaefer, because I wanted to be challenged as a coach. I wanted to grow. I wanted to be around guys that I knew were intelligent, that I knew worked hard, and that they were going to challenge me to become a better coach, because that's what I was looking for. I had kind of grown and fit within the box at Dubuque. We had just finished 20th in the country in rushing. We had just finished, 3rd in the country in sacks allowed. And I wanted another challenge, another opportunity to grow as a coach and get into some empty protections. But I didn't really know much about John Carroll. In all reality, I didn't know about the institution, and I didn't know about the alumni network. To me, the decision was really an opportunity to be around two of my former teammates that were going to make me better. The opportunity to come back to Ohio. My wife's from Cincinnati, so to bring her, now we're only 3.5 hours away from her home versus 8 in Dubuque, and the opportunity to grow as a coach. Like, that was the main thing that got me here. And then I got here, and the reason I'm most excited about this opportunity is because this is an institution that over the last 3 years that I've gotten an opportunity to learn about and grow with the institution. Is I believe in it. Like, it's the same values the institution has. What I've learned about the Jesuit mission and the men and women for others, like, are the same values that I have. And also they push me to be better. Like, those are things that I look back at, I think I'm a good human being at times, but I need to be better. I could give back to the community better. And what I've loved most about the 3 seasons I've been here and about this opportunity is, like, within the core of the institution, everything's about making everybody around you better. Right. And I've had an opportunity to coach great kids who, like, I'm constantly impressed by what they do and what they aspire to become. And it's, what's been exciting in the last 2 months that I've had an opportunity to do is talk to some other alums, and the same experiences that I think our kids are going through right now are the same experiences that they had 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Right. I know Don would get upset with me if I didn't throw in 50 years ago in there on that one. So, but like, being at a place where you truly believe in the school and the mission of the institution, that to me is what excites me so much, because I know, really, regardless of the major that any of these kids get into, once they get tied into the network of John Carroll, they're going to look out for these kids, and they're going to be successful because they're going to be challenged in the classroom. They're going to be challenged athletically on the football field. They're going to be, they're going to have to manage their time, and it's growing the future leaders of our society. And I think that's what John Carroll does. And that's what excites me about this opportunity is, like, truly believing in the kids and truly believing in the institution is what has me pinching myself every single night when I go to bed. Is I've wanted to be a Division III head coach now for a while. And now I have the opportunity to interview one for the next, 7 months now at one of the top ones in the country that I think, I think we're just kind of scratching the surface in terms of what we could become, especially with a lot of the things that are going on campus right now. Like, the immediate future and the future down the road is really exciting here.
So how's the spring been going so far? I mean, what unique challenges and opportunities have presented themselves, taking over as you did, rather abruptly, mid-spring, hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
What has that been like for you?
There's been a lot more opportunities and challenges, I think. And I think that's what's great about John Carroll. And the number one thing that we were incredibly fortunate to do was to keep the entire staff in place. One of the great things about John Carroll is because of the tradition and the success that a lot of the coaches have had and a lot of the players have had from here, you get some great coaches in that it's going to be hard to retain them. And we were able to retain every single one of them and elevate from within. So a lot of the cultural things, the positives that have already been established, we can continue to roll with. And so, the scheduling was probably the number one thing, was getting everybody on the same page in terms of scheduling for meetings, practice times, that type of stuff was probably the number one challenge that we've had. But the opportunities here are immense. I mean, you got great kids that are willing to work, they're hungry to work, and they're excited. And, I think that's, one of my biggest challenges was probably, going across the aisle, if you will, and starting to form some of those relationships with those defensive players that naturally, as the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator, you just haven't had that opportunity to do as much, especially with much of the last 2 years really being in COVID, and a lot of it was virtual, and we were still wearing masks in the fall at our meetings. And so, and we were still socially distant. So there were even some position players that weren't allowed to be in your position meetings because you didn't have enough space. And so, that was probably the greatest challenge in going across and getting a chance to sit down and visit with with some of those guys that I hadn't had the opportunity to sit down and say, hey, what's home life like? What do your parents do? What are they, what's that situation? And that's something that I really enjoyed, because you got a chance to learn a lot about the guys on the team. And I quite frankly, I wish I had done it with some of my other guys at other times. And so that was probably the biggest challenge. But there's just a lot of things going on campus right now that are really exciting. You have all the conversations and the drawings about the new facility that's going to go up in the Belvoir parking lot. And, to me, when you have the opportunity in the next couple of years that now we're going to have a football only locker room, that's huge. Like, want to talk about a challenge from spring ball. Our guys were, for the first time, were wearing helmets and shoulder pads. They didn't have a place to keep their helmets and shoulder pads. So they were taking it back to their dorms. They're taking it back and putting it in their car, and, didn't really have a place to shower after our morning practices. The fact that we could have that space in the next couple of years, that is awesome. Like, the opportunities that provides our kids to have their own space on campus, what we'll be able to utilize that space in recruiting is huge. And there's just some small things too. I feel like I'm coming in at a good time where there's some head coaches on campus right now that are getting together and meeting on a weekly basis of like, hey, what works for you? What doesn't work for you? What have you done well? How can we access some of the resources that we have on campus? Because our kids are great. Like, our kids get, real world experience of, marketing and all the communications department. How can we access kids in the communication department to help us promote our program? How can we access, kids in the business department to help us do things? And I just feel like there's a lot of things on campus right now that are moving in the positive direction. And, the lacrosse team just wins a playoff game last night. And just that general feel on campus it's been outstanding. And then to have so many of the, alumni to be able to stop in, check out a practice, pop in the office, and just feel the support of the alumni that I've had the opportunity to feel so far has been, it's been outstanding. And it's just, it gets me, you talk about, I'm having a meeting every 20 minutes from 8 a.m. to 11 and 1 to 5, and then went to a recruiting event from 6 to 9 at Oberlin the other night. And it's like, but you wake up excited because of the kids and because of the opportunities that you have here on campus.
We feel your excitement here. That's outstanding. That's great. So what is your mindset heading into the summer, both with the current team and with respect to the recruiting trail?
Yeah, I think one of the things I've told the current team and any recruit that I've had the opportunity to have a conversation with, and it's been, this current class has been outstanding. I mean, we had 35 committed guys when Coach Fanati stepped down and I assumed the position. We lost one of them to Kent State as a walk-on long snapper, but we retained the other 34, and we've added now today 31 to that total. So, and they've been some really talented kids coming in, some transfers from some other institutions, and so that part's been really exciting. But what I've told them in the recruiting world is like, listen, I have no intent in letting this position go. This is an opportunity for me to take over a dream job, and the reasons that they choose John Carroll are the same reasons the guys chose it 6 years ago. You're coming because you want to compete academically at a national level, you want to compete athletically at a national level, and you want to have an impact on the world around you. And so, as we talk to recruits in the upcoming class, it's going to be the same thing. You're coming for the degree, you're coming for the network, and you're coming to play ball at a really high level. And you're coming to be in a locker room around a bunch of young men that are going to aspire to do more and to be more, right? And that are going to go places in their lives. And, and that to me has been the approach for us in the recruiting path, and it's worked out well. And, everything that we're doing both on the football field as a program and in recruiting this isn't a 1-year deal for anybody on staff right now. This is our intent is we're here and we're here to stay. And we're starting football camps this summer to teach the fundamentals of football, not the prospect stuff. That's a money grab, but the fundamentals of football, because we want to go out and we want high school coaches in the area to send their young kids our way and have them get better. And they remember John Carroll their senior year when it's us in an FCS school, and they consider John Carroll, right? And we want to win in Cleveland. So we want to make sure we're reaching out to the high school coaches in the area and develop a great relationship with them. They can send their kids to our camp, and they're going to coach up better than any other camp in the state. And they're going to keep sending kids our way. And so everything that we're doing is it's in place for the long run. And then in terms of our mentality on the field, with our kids is, the thing that I believe in, and this is why I think it excites me about John Carroll, because I think it's aligned in the mission of the institution, is I want champions, right? And I'm not talking, I don't care about the wins and losses on the field. I care about how we do things. I want them to be champions in the weight room, champions in the classroom, champions on the football field, champions out in society, right? I want them to be a champion level, son, so that at some point in time they could be a champion father and a husband. And that's what our mindset is in everything that we do. We're going to be toes behind the line because that's what we do. And we're going to go through the line. We're never going to go to the line. We're going through the line, because you never run up and, you tackle through the ball carrier. You run through the end zone. If you go to the end zone, you're still short of it. So you haven't scored any points yet, right? If you could run up to the ball carrier, you're still short. You're not going to bring them down. We got to go through those guys. So it's about establishing the championship level habits, to where when we get everybody 160 guys doing it each and every single day, coaching staff included, then now we have the opportunity to compete and be successful in every single one of our games, and ultimately, hopefully host that OAC crown at the end of the season.
Our final question from me, and then we can open it up to anyone who wants to chime in and has questions for you as well. What's the outlook for the 2022 season? Maybe positions of strength, or how's the senior or veteran leadership looking right now?
I'm really excited about this team. I mean, that's why I say I think there's excitement for the immediate future, and I think there's excitement for the future down the road. In the recruiting classes that we've had underneath Coach Finati, and the one that we're bringing in now, and with this group moving forward, is I think we've seen over the spring, one of our goals was to continue to work to increase the competitiveness of our guys, and just wanting them to compete in everything that they do. And they really stepped up to the challenge there. And so what you're going to see on the field in 2022 is there's going to be a lot of new names on defense, a lot of new names. We lost a lot of guys from last year, but I thought Coach Long did a great job in bringing the young guys along this spring and teaching them. And this is our guys' first spring, since prior to COVID. And, we finally get the benefit of not having a game to prepare for, which allowed us to scale things back, slow things down to the fundamental levels, and reteach things to get some of those younger guys back up to speed. Because really the sophomore class hasn't had that yet either. And that was really their first experience, and their first experience in the weight room for the entire offseason. So you're going to see a lot of new names on defense. I think we might have increased some of our athleticism there, but obviously we're going to be losing some of the experience. And now especially in the back seven, and on the defensive line, there's going to be some familiar names when you get a chance to open up that program and get a chance to turn on some of those games on the internet. You're going to see some familiar faces up there making some plays. And on offense, it's kind of flipped. You're going to look out there and you're going to see a lot of familiar names at the skill position. We brought back every single running back. We brought back a lot of our wide receivers, with the exception of a couple that graduated, that are doing great things with their lives, going to a PT school at NYU and going to already accepted a GA position with Dayton football. I mean, it's and a couple others. So, but you're going to see a lot of familiar names and faces out there on the perimeter at our skill position, at our tight end position, at our wide receivers, and in the backfield. And you're going to see, really Joe Collins for the first time at the quarterback. We feel comfortable naming him our starter coming in out of spring. And I'm excited about the leadership role that he stepped up. He's a kid who, competed and won a state championship in the state of Michigan his senior year. So he's got some of those intangibles and got in guys' face a little bit. And he's one of those guys, if you don't run the right route for him at a wide receiver, he's going to let you know. If you do something and he doesn't like to his running back, he's going to let you know. You know, and I think that's really exciting. And then, you know, the offensive line up front, there's going to be some new faces in there, some younger guys. But we still return a lot of experience in that position as well. So there's going to be some familiar names that you saw from last season. They'll be in some different spots. Some guys will be playing some different positions. But I think it's probably the deepest offensive line that we've had in my time here in terms of really run through 11 are competing for opportunities to start, you know, and I think that's one thing that I think across the board, we've got competition on both sides of the ball. Even with our specialists, we've got competition across the board where guys know going into this summer, like, hey, you got to be on your stuff. You got to show up every single day. You got to do all the work that the coaches are asking you to do, that T-Rob's asking you to do in the weight room. Because if you don't, there's somebody else on the team that's going to take your job. You know, and you gotta show up each and every single day to get after it and get it done and be able to take care of it. So I'm really excited about this team. I mean, I really am. They're going to fly around, make some plays on defense like they've done for years here. And I think we took some step forward offensively underneath Coach Baker and a little bit more explosive, a little bit more you know, open type of playbook. But we took some steps forward to, you know, really kind of get to that same level defensively that they've flown around, made plays, competed at. We've competed better with them offensively this year than we have in years past. So I'm really excited about, you know, the future and what we have moving forward.
Wonderful. Well, why don't we open it up? If anyone wants to unmute the Zoom platform here and chime in with any questions for Coach Nystrom or any comments.
I don't know if this is a question for Coach or just the program in general, but is there any thought, any chance to playing Case again in the future? Seems like a natural play, a neighborhood rival.
That is one that I have not given any thought to at this point in time. That with all the things that we have going on, I know we have, you know, obviously we open up with W&J next year, and then we open up with UW Whitewater the 2 years after that. I'm not sure what we have after that, quite frankly. You know, I know we've had a great partnership in scrimmaging against Case every single year, and that's something that I look forward to. And I've had the opportunity to meet with Greg a little bit on that, and that's been a real natural thing for us as well, because you're getting a really highly competitive team, and you only have to drive 15, 20 minutes to get there, which makes an ease in terms of scrimmaging. You know, I haven't thought about that, but there's a million other things that I've had on my plate right now. Future schedule planning has not been one that I've thought about, nor have I had the opportunity to discuss with anyone higher up in administration.
Right.
And anybody else? I can comment just real quick, you know, since Drew referenced it, and I don't know if it's widely known, but yeah, without question, the university is slated to make some incredible investments in the campus, really historic investments in the campus, and most notably an indoor field house and playing facility. So there are several concepts under review, but it is moving forward. We do have financing for it, although we're looking to certainly fill some gaps with fundraising efforts in the coming years. But we are ready to break ground this July and ready to open, at least if it stays on schedule, in the fall of 2024. And again, this would be the first field house in our history, and it would reside right on the Belvoir parking lot.
Hopefully I didn't let the cat out of the bag on that one, but
Nope,
that's one of those things
it's
that's
out there.
been,
It's
like,
out
it
there.
is the opportunity to have your own locker room, a team meeting space. We're going to get a bigger, better weight room for our guys. T-Rob, I mean, I think it's going to be outstanding. And it's one of those things that, you know, it's going to allow us in recruiting to showcase some things that really in the past, you know, this hallway down, we've tried to hide some things in recruiting, but that's going to allow us to showcase some things. And I think it's going to be just outstanding for us moving forward.
Agreed.
Do any other schools in the conference have an indoor field house for football?
All of them but us have a field house.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And as our president says, we're not looking to kind of catch up with our competition. We're looking to leap them. So,
Pass them up.
so we're excited for what this has in store for us. And I'm
Okay.
happy to make myself available if you all have questions and want to talk offline, set up a time in the coming days. Happy to do that. Any other questions for Coach?
Hi, this is Rick DeBlasio. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
1971 grad from John Carroll. Came there in 67. Was a offensive and defensive tackle in high school. Not quite to the proportions as Drew described, but I was, and ended up coming to Carroll, 63 freshman. And as they peeled off the the skill players, and they peeled off the offensive ends, and then they took the offensive linemen, and all that was left was defensive linemen and linebackers. When I watched the defensive linemen go all over, I was 5'8", all over 6 feet, all over. All that was left was linebackers, and I said, I guess if I'm going to play football at John Carroll, I'm going to be a linebacker. So that's what I did. I had the great pleasure of playing for Tony DiCarlo for 4 years as a defensive coordinator. And Jerry Schweikert was our head coach, and we won the President's Conference my junior year. So, Drew, I wish you the best. I've really enjoyed your comments, and I agree with you. I went in the Marine Corps after John Carroll, then been in industry for another 40 years after that. But I've been coaching high school lacrosse for the last 15 years against Brother Rice, Detroit Catholic Central in Michigan, kids I know that are now migrating. When I was at Carroll, we pooled a ton of kids from the Chicago Catholic League and the Pittsburgh Catholic high schools. I know today you're doing very well with the Detroit Catholic schools, but I've been blessed. I've been in 15 years. I've been to 12 state finals and 8 championships. And all of that is really, I attribute to my experiences at Carroll as a student, as an athlete. And I think your perspective about what it's all about the journey. It's all about, the process. Winning is as I tell my lacrosse players, winning's an outcome. It's not a goal. We got to do all these things that we need to do to prepare ourselves. So I wish you the best of luck, and I'm going to make every effort I can to get back this fall to see a game and introduce myself to you.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to listen today. And I appreciate the feedback, and holy cow, like that's one heck of a career coaching lacrosse.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I coached rocket football when my son was a 4th grader because that was my deal. I never thought I played 2 years of football in the Marine Corps after John Carroll, which I never thought I would do. And then I thought everything was over, and I get to East Grand Rapids in Michigan, and my son's a 4th grader, and they need rocket football coaches. I coach. I hope to move forward in the football program, but I didn't get the chance to do that. And then I got a phone call when he was a 6th grader saying, hey, we're going to start the middle school lacrosse program from 8th grade to 6th grade. We need coaches. We want guys who played college athletics. You're one of them. Would you happy to do that? I couldn't spell lacrosse when my son in 1996, I couldn't spell lacrosse. And then I started coaching, and they said, well, will you coach the 7th grade team, 8th grade team? 12 years, my son only played for one lacrosse coach, him and 10 or 12 of his buddies, most of which played football. So in 2001, I became the head varsity lacrosse coach and won my first state championship. And then went on from there to get 8 more. So, but I'll tell you, Carroll is a special place. It does things in terms of the holistic approach. And God bless you, man. I'm very excited about you keeping that going. I played on the team in my senior year. We were the first John Carroll team to play Mount Union. And that
Okay.
would have been 1970 fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we were in the President's Athletic Conference prior to that.
You know, a funny note.
So
Rick,
that goes way back.
yeah, no, thank you for joining us tonight. It's great to hear from you. Amazing comments. Well said. I want to jump in because you mentioned Coach Schweik. So Coach Schweikert registered to attend this, Drew. But I got an alert on my email that he logged in 2 nights ago for this. I don't know what I don't know what happened there. So I was hoping
Well,
to see him tonight, but he was 2 nights early. He was excited to hear from you. So just know Coach Schweikert made the effort to be
Yeah.
with us.
Jerry threw up before every game. He was so psyched up about the competition and the whole deal. He would be in the locker room throwing up before every game. But he was a great guy to play for. And, you know, as all of us know or know of, Drew, unfortunately, you probably never knew him, but Tony DiCarlo was just one special guy. And to have him as my D coordinator for 4 years was just really special.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach DiCarlo was our Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes. So and
Yeah,
everybody
he was
knows it.
so special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are there any other final comments for Drew or about the program? We all excited for the season?
For sure.
Good. Well, like I said, if you need anything else, please contact me directly. Happy to connect directly, as is Drew, I'm sure. But Coach, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing your background. We are all behind you and cheering for you. You certainly have the right mentality and attitude and mindset, and I'm sure the boys are going to follow you in the fall, and we're looking forward to a successful season. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dave, and thanks everybody for getting a chance to stop in. I'm excited. I am honored to lead your program in this season and hopefully for many, many to come. So thanks, Dave.
God bless, Drew. Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you all.